Jesus wants to speak, so I'm going to speak with Jesus. Come, divine will, come speak in my speaking, and listen in your listening. So I'm still on volume 25, where Luisa has just moved in to this house where we're living, where we are at the moment. And Luisa says this towards the end of the first entry. Now I resume my speaking. At night I remained alone with my Jesus in the sacrament. My eyes were fixed on the little door of the tabernacle. It seemed to me that the lamp, with its continuous flickering, was about to go out, but then it would revive again, and my heart gave a jump, fearing that Jesus might remain in the dark. And my always lovable Jesus, moving in my interior, clasped me in his arms and told me, "My daughter, do not fear, for the lamp will not go out. And if it did go out, I have you, living lamp, a lamp with which with your flickering, more than with the flickering of the Eucharistic lamp, tells me, I love you, I love you, I love you. Oh, how beautiful is the flickering of your I love you. Your flickering says love to me, and united with my will, from two wills we form one alone. How beautiful is your lamp, and the flickering of your I love you. It cannot be compared to the lamp that burns before my tabernacle of love." Now I just want to pause there. I'm going to go to the book of Exodus, chapter 27, verse 20. "You shall command the sons of Israel that they bring to you pure beaten olive oil for the light, that a lamp may be set up to burn continually in the tent of meeting outside the veil, which is before the covenant. Aaron and his sons shall tend to it from evening to morning before the Lord. It shall be a statute forever, to be observed throughout their generations by the sons of Israel." So the lamp was said to be burning continuously, and as you heard Jesus speaking to Luisa, it was her I love you, which was the flickering of her own lamp, a living lamp. And think about how when God created us, he created us that we would love him perpetually from the moment of our conception onwards for all eternity, and that would be a continuous I love you. And you have that here. It is a statute forever, to be observed throughout all generations by the sons of Israel. Israel, one translation could be those who wrestle with God, which is us. How beautiful is your lamp, and the flickering of your I love you. It cannot be compared to the lamp that burns before my tabernacle of love. More so, since my divine will being in you, you form the flickering of your I love you in the center of the sun of my fiat, and I see and hear not a lamp, but a sun burning before me. My prisoner, be welcomed. You have come to keep company with your prisoner. We are both in prison, you in bed, and I in the tabernacle. Once again, a thought comes to mind of Paul and how he says he's a prisoner for the Lord. And his chains were serving God. And we have to remember, whatever circumstances we are in, when we live a life abandoned to the divine will, we are always serving the Lord, and we're always able to give him our I love you, no matter what our circumstances in life. So don't put any obstacles up to the divine will at work in your life. Never say things like, oh, I will do this when this has happened, or that has happened, or when my circumstances have improved or changed. Always remember that God comes to you in the circumstances in which he finds you, and he wants you to change there. He wants you to make the decision, give him your fiat in the circumstances in which you are in, no matter what those circumstances may be. Never expect the circumstances to improve before you give him your fiat, or even get worse, before you give him your fiat, just give him your fiat. It is right that we be close to each other, more so, since one is the purpose that keeps us in prison, the divine will. Love, souls. How pleasing will the company of my prisoner be to me? We will feel it together, to prepare the kingdom of the supreme fiat. But know, my daughter, that my love has anticipated you. His love has anticipated you, folks. I was first in putting myself prisoner in this cell. So wherever you are, Jesus was ahead of you, to wait for my prisoner in your sweet company. See then how my love was first in running towards you, how I have loved you, and I love you. For in so many centuries of imprisonment in this tabernacle, I never had a prisoner who would keep me company, who would remain so very close to me. Think about it. In the divine will, we can be closer to Jesus than any other saints in history, because we have his will operating in our soul. And he's waited all these centuries for this to happen. I was thinking the other day about how Our Lady is in heaven as the Queen of the Kingdom of the Divine Will, and Jesus as the King of the Kingdom of the Divine Will, but how that kingdom has been empty for centuries upon centuries. And they've been just waiting, and now more and more people are populating that kingdom. What joy it brings them. I have always been alone, or at the most in the company of souls who are not prisoners, in whom I did not see my same chains. Now finally, the time has come for me to have a prisoner, to keep her constantly near me, under my sacramental gazes. If you think about the word prisoner, we might have a problem with that. Just don't have a problem with it, let it go. St. Louis de Montfort, in his doctrine on the true devotion to Mary, calls us slaves of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And Paul calls us to be slaves of righteousness. Don't be scandalized by the language. Rejoice in it. Just think, wow, Jesus wants me to be a prisoner for him, a prisoner for good rather than evil. Finally, the time has come for me to have a prisoner, to keep her constantly near me under my sacramental gazes, one whom the chains of my divine will alone keep imprisoned. So Jesus wants to imprison us with his divine will. He wants us to be imprisoned in it. Please God, may it happen quickly, right? May we soon never be able to escape back into the land of the human will ever again, but be completely imprisoned by love. Please God, may that happen. A sweeter and more pleasing company could not come to me. And so while we are together in prison, we will occupy ourselves with the kingdom of the divine fiat, and we'll work together and we'll sacrifice ourselves together to make it known to creatures. And he says earlier, uniting with my will from two wills we form one alone. And that is Jesus' prayer. We often say, what does God will for me? What is God's plan for me? And here we have the prayer of Jesus. One will be the will. Father, this is John 17:21, that they may all be one, even as you, Father, are in me and I in you, that they also may be in us, so that the world may believe that you sent me. So Jesus wants to have that one will. We think, what does Jesus will for us in this age? We know from Luisa's writings, from what Jesus has taught her, we know what God wills for us. He wills that we be immersed in the kingdom of the divine fiat. So we should just unite our will to that plan for us. And again, I've said this on a previous video. Oops. Sorry about that. Just knocked the camera down. I've said this on a previous video. Stop policing the church. Stop looking at the Pope and what he's doing and criticizing and slandering and everything else. Focus on your journey, folks. You're going to really regret wasting time on negative news reports and gossip and slander. You're going to really regret it, because every time you waste your time on that, you're not building the kingdom of the divine will. You cannot. Jesus does not gossip, slander, or criticize his Holy Father. He loves him, and we should do the same. So pull yourself away from all that rubbish. If you've ever been involved in it, if you've ever been given over to it, pull yourself away from it. Treat it as mud that you should not contaminate yourself with. And focus on building the kingdom. Focus on the good news of the kingdom of the divine will. That's where you should be a prisoner in chains. You know, the Apostle Paul was single-mindedly focused on his task, and his letters reflect this. And our task should be single-minded, building that kingdom, building the pathways. How many of you got children, family, friends who aren't in the kingdom? Well, they can't get into the kingdom until you've built the pathway. So build the kingdom, build the pathway with your focus on what God wants of you, and stop worrying about the politics. Let the politicians sort that stuff out, yeah? And we get on with building the kingdom. It's all going to be irrelevant soon. Fiat voluntas tua.